Hello everyone and welcome to the National Engineering Month webinar on recognizing and recruiting volunteers. We're calling it Rallying Your Troops. So we are here today to talk to you about this idea. My name is Rebecca White. So I will be spending the next relatively short time, walking you through some tips and tricks on how you can find volunteers and ensure that we are creating a great experience for the volunteers so that they are supported and recognized and hopefully coming back again to help us with National Engineering Month events next year. I am part of a team that is working to support you this year, myself and Erica Lee Garcia. She's not on the webinar with us this afternoon, but she is definitely here to support you in any way that is needed and in any way that we can. You can see our email addresses there. If you do need anything, you can reach out to us. And then I also wanted to recognize that National Engineering Month, of course, is a campaign happening across the country. But here in Ontario, we are fortunate enough to have a coalition of organizations that are working together, collaborating together to support the activities happening in the province. It is made up of the Ontario Association of Certified Engineering Technicians and Technologists, OSET, Professional Engineers Ontario, Engineers Without Borders Canada, as well as the Ontario Society of Professional Engineers. So we'll jump right in. So a quick introduction here. So we do get asked on a fairly regular basis how to find volunteers for my events, or how to manage those volunteers once we've got them. So we're going to spend a little bit of time here just talking through those ideas about how to activate volunteers and then how to recognize them as well. So with volunteering, we do think that, and we really wholeheartedly believe that it is a win-win situation. So you are, as an event organizer, you're gaining support for your events, much needed support in many cases. And the volunteers themselves are also getting something out of it. They're getting experience, skills, they're getting, just the joy of being a part of something. And we think that having great volunteers are crucial to the success of the event. So if we can set up our volunteer team, our planning team, in a way that is well supported, then the events themselves will be well supported, and the participants at the events will have a fantastic experience. And then volunteering is really a great opportunity to build a strong community. So, you never know. It starts with a few volunteers helping out at an event this year in March, and then next year maybe they talk about what a great experience they had with their friends, and they bring their friends along, and it just continues to build. So it's a really amazing opportunity to connect. So what's in it for them? We really think that volunteers, it's things like networking. They can maybe be building some leadership skills, communication skills. Depending on what they, to what aspect they're supporting the events, it could be also some other personal growth goals they might have that they could be working on. So there's lots of different ways that that this is an excellent opportunity for volunteers. And of course, it's fun. People like to come out. They have a great time supporting the event, connecting with their community, remembering why it is that they went into, maybe chose a career path that they did, seeing the faces light up on kids as they overcome an obstacle, or the light bulbs start going off. So a really fun opportunity for them. And then, so what are the benefits of volunteer recruitment? If it's not obvious to you already why it's a great, idea to have some volunteers on your team to support your events, it's obviously going to just give you some people power behind the events to make sure that they're being executed effectively, they're being executed safely, and the participants are having a great experience. But on top of that, there's the element of bringing in a diverse group of minds into the planning. So it's an opportunity to bring in some different perspectives that can contribute various ideas and suggestions that can maybe help you improve your event. Maybe it's an event you've run year over year, and having a different set of minds in the planning stages might lead to some really interesting opportunities for improvement. And then a great way for volunteers to connect with their own networks to maybe help amplify the reach of your event even further. So your reach extends so far, and I'm sure you're all out there busy trying to promote it on social media and various other networking channels. But using your volunteers, they've got their own networks available to them as well. So that's just another opportunity to expand on and amplify that. So how do you go and find some new volunteers? So if you're looking for people to help out, you got a big event planned. How do you find people that are willing to help? So some obvious kind of directions to take here is using your existing networks. We spend a lot of time building these networks, so now is the time to tap into them and send out some requests. Share some stories from your events in previous years if you have those available. That's a fantastic tool. Or you can just share kind of what you have planned for this year's event. So reach out to those networks. And then if you have people that are already part of your organizing team, some volunteers already on your team, get them to help out. Ask them to, everybody bring one friend kind of idea, and just expand the ask that way. And then think about your own circle of influence. So, we tend to think immediately of kind of friends and family, but what about classmates or coworkers? What about former coworkers that you may still be connected to? LinkedIn is such a powerful networking tool that most people have available to them now. So great way to reach out and connect with potential volunteers there. Think about your own community, so your neighbors, any maybe churches or clubs or groups that you're part of. Sports teams is a fantastic idea up there. Maybe you're not part of a sports team. What about your kids? Are they on sports teams? Because I'm sure you're connected up and chatting with parents while you're standing there and watching your kids at play hockey or go swimming or whatever it is that they're doing. Great opportunity to connect with some of the parents there that might be interested in volunteering. So we do hear a lot. We get feedback from our own community that people are interested in volunteering, but they couldn't find. They basically couldn't connect. They couldn't find. They couldn't find an opportunity to go and help out. So just really want to encourage you that step one in finding new volunteers is to ask. So. With that ask, we do have some recommendations. So a personal approach is usually the strongest one, and it really does work best if you can be specific in your ask. So if you know time commitments and kind of scope of tasks that will be included, it's a great idea to be able to include those. It makes the ask that much stronger. It makes the person that you're asking that much more comfortable accepting the task or accepting the ask or the opportunity. Here's a neat example of a little text chat, I guess, back and forth. So you can see here the level of detail that was included. There's an ask for some volunteers in Ottawa to help out with some Girl Guide and Boy Scout events that are happening. There's a link to a website, so the person we're asking in this case can go and look on the website if they want to find out more. And then we connect with them on a personal level here, talking to them about how, we think they would be an awesome facilitator. We probably worked with them previously and know they have some facilitation abilities, and maybe that's something, one of those skills, one of those personal growth areas that they want to work on. And then giving them details again in terms of timing. So we need to sign up by the 14th, and then some, including again that kind of human level connection of, hey, I'm not just asking you for, just to come and do this. I want to reconnect with you. So how's your life going? Your pictures from South America looked amazing. Let's chat, kind of an idea. So a really strong ask here makes it that much easier for the person to connect and respond in the way you're looking for them to. And then consider broadening your search. So we talked about your own circle of influence, your own kind of networks that you rely on, but how can you expand on that? So most communities have small community newspapers available. So if you have time, then you can get an ad in there. High schools are a fantastic place to find volunteers. High school students have a certain number of hours that they are required to put in that is volunteer time before they graduate. So what a win-win situation that is. You get to connect with students that are excited about the things that you're doing at your events, and then you get somebody there to help you with what you need. We also think it's a great opportunity for engaging with your participants, especially if you're considering doing an outreach event with younger students. Having high school students or even local college or university students that are a little bit closer to their age, it's a great, you just get a different level of engagement happening. They can really look up to them as role models. The younger participants can really look up to those high school students or college or university students as role models. And then leverage your online social media networks as much as you can. So it's great to put the tweets out there, put the Facebook posts out there. If you have some budget available, you can usually boost your posts. It doesn't, it's not usually more than a few dollars to do that, and you can really reach a much broader audience. And then, so a reminder again, talked about this already a little bit, but people will generally feel more comfortable offering their time and their support if they know what the role entails. So as much as you can, include the details of the ask of what is the position about, what are the time commitments, what do they look like, what other information can you give the volunteers through those posts to help them have a clear picture of what the experience is going to be like. So then once you've got your volunteers on board, we think it's really important to ensure that they are set up for success. So highly recommend having an onboarding or and a debrief session. So we want the volunteers to feel supported. We want them to feel confident in what they're doing. We want them to kind of bring their best selves to the event. So if we take the time to work with them and connect with them before the event happens, during doing some pretty simple onboarding with them, then they'll be able to have the capacity to bring that energy and excitement and pass that on to the participants at the event, kind of on the day of. Another good tip here, or a reminder in some cases, is that as the event organizers, you really will get more out of your volunteers if you remember to delegate and not dictate. So if you take the position of sort of giving them a specific task and telling them to go away and do it, and then they come back to you and ask for the next one, and so on and so on, you're really only going to get so much out of your volunteers. If you're able to spend the time getting to know your volunteers' strengths and skills to a certain level that you can delegate tasks to them, it really empowers them, gives them kind of ownership over those tasks, and then they're going to execute them all that much more effectively, and they're not going to have to keep coming back to you asking what's next, right? So you really empower them and create a great experience for them at the same time. A few other little tips here: don't overload them with information. You want to make sure they have kind of the right level of information. You want to be there to support and motivate them. If you do have the opportunity to establish a buddy system, that works really well to get them paired up with an experienced volunteer that has done the event before. That way, if they have any questions, and they know who to go to ask for support. Important, we think, to be very clear and upfront with volunteers about their responsibilities. So just really an exercise in setting expectations here so that there's no misunderstandings. And then when possible, it's great if you can show them how to do certain tasks. If there's specific things that need to be done, it's great to kind of do a dry run, do a walkthrough, so that everyone knows where they need to be and what's going on and why. A good tip here is to consider creating a list, or kind of doing an exercise in advance of your events where you brainstorm all the possible questions that could be asked, the FAQs that could come up from the attendees during your event. So, where's the bathroom, or where do I find this part of the event, or where's the coffee station if you're having one, for example. Spend some time thinking about what those questions might be, and then create a little answer sheet so that your volunteers are prepared to answer these questions that will most likely be coming up. It creates a level of confidence in your volunteers, and it also really enhances the experience for the attendees. So they're not stuck waiting while a volunteer runs off to find the answer. They have the answers available at their fingertips. So recognizing your volunteers, something that we think should be happening as an ongoing process. So not just after the events, but this is something that we can consider before, during, and after the event. So how do you do that before the event has happened? Well, you can talk to them really about impact. So by showing them what they're a part of, it helps them really connect to the idea, to the campaign, to the broader scale of the impact that the campaign is having. So in the case of Ontario, you can talk to them about how they're part of more than 300 events that's going to be taking place across the province throughout the month of March. So that's really exciting. It's something that people can really kind of grab onto. They can talk to their friends about. National Engineering Month here in Ontario has continued to grow year over year, so it's a really great story to celebrate, and so it's a great way to help your volunteers know that they are important to that bigger picture. During the event itself, make sure you're doing some simple things like checking in on your volunteers. Make sure they're okay. Do they need a break? Maybe they need to, they're getting bored doing the same task repeatedly. So if it's possible, maybe they can switch up with another volunteer, or set up sort of a rotation for your volunteers so they get to move through the stations and do the quote unquote more fun activities, so that they're having a great time during the day. And I mean, by doing that, it's just a way for them to know that you're thinking about them, you care about their experience, and so that they're engaged with everything that's going on at the event. And then, of course, after the event, important to talk to them about any, the impact they're having. So if you can share any positive feedback that came to you from the event, maybe some attendees said something amazing to you, maybe you received some emails or letters from notable people that you can share with them, sending them a thank you note or an email. Pictures are fantastic. We also have certificates that are available. So you may have received one from us if you ordered some NEM merchandise. We sent some NEM volunteer recognition certificates in all those boxes. They are also available for download and printing from the NEM Ontario website as well. So you just need to go to nemontario.ca and then click on the outreach resources page, and you'll find a link to be able to download and print off some certificates to recognize your volunteers. A nice little keepsake for them to put up on their wall and remember the event and remind them to come back again next year. And then share stories with us. So if you have some exceptional volunteers that are really just standing out, we'd love to hear from you. We love to tell those stories. We can feature them on our blog. NEM really happens because of volunteers. So we're happy to contribute to the recognition of those volunteers whenever we can. A little reminder here that that volunteer engagement is also a factor in your scorecards. So if you are thinking about how you can maybe improve on your score from last year, volunteer engagement is one opportunity. So just we'll touch on this more in actually the webinar coming up next week on how to score your events or how to fill out the scorecards. But this is sort of just a little heads up here that you can also get points by engaging with volunteers. So if they're helping you out with things like research, budgeting, planning, promotion, then you can get some points there. And also in collaboration. So volunteers can collaborate in some fantastic ways. You can get points here, up to 2 points each for a maximum of 10 points. But here's some of the different ways you could consider the collaboration that can happen as a result of volunteer engagement. So you might have people finding or donating venue space for you, coordinating getting supplies for your events. Maybe there's people that are coming in to deliver certain content at your event or deliver a workshop. There might be people working on promotion. You might have volunteer judges or speakers at your events. And then just the logistics that go on throughout the day. So parking, directions, getting people to fill out feedback forms, doing giveaways. All that stuff is all stuff that you can get points for on your scorecard. And then just some final reminders here. So we talked about all these points already, but step one is just to ask. So tap into your networks and try and be specific or include details where possible so that the potential volunteers know what they're signing up for, and personalize it when you can. Send a text, make a phone call. A little really does go a long way in helping strengthen that ask. And then once we've got volunteers on board want to consider how we are training them and setting them up to be prepared to support the event in the best possible way, so that they can be really engaged during the event. And then recognizing those volunteers afterwards and sharing feedback with them so they can understand and connect to that impact that's happening. And then a reminder here, I mentioned it already briefly, so we do have some more webinars coming up. You can RSVP for those webinars by clicking on the nemontario.ca website and going to the Outreach Resources page. You'll find the RSVP links there. So the webinar we have coming up next Tuesday, February 27th, is the Measuring Event Effectiveness webinar, which is where we will talk about the scorecards and how to fill those out. And then March 1st, we get to kick off NEM with a fun webinar. So I encourage you to sign up for those. And of course, if you have any questions at all, please get in touch with us. We're happy to help. We are here to support you. So that is all that I have to share with you today on volunteer recruiting and recognition. So hopefully you've taken away some tips and tricks on how to do that. And if there is anything else that we can help you with, again, encourage you to get in touch with us. And with that, I will say good afternoon. I hope everyone has a wonderful day, and then we are looking forward to connecting with you to hear all about your upcoming NEM event.